My name is Itwa Igodalo. I'm, by the grace of God, the president of the African Leadership Group, or the Tri-Africa Foundation, which is the host and the producer of this program. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for what you all have been doing in support of the ALG. I want to thank especially those who have been contributing money, resource, time, energy, ideas, information, and so on and so forth to this series that we have been doing. I really, really want to thank you all very much. And a lot of the ladies and gentlemen that have also been working in the back office and been doing a tremendous amount of work in the back office to keep this going week after week. Today is the 30th day of May, the 31st day, and then Saturday will be the first day of June. We have had the administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for 366 days, having assumed office on May the 29th, 2023. And we thought that for today's program, we should just generally have a participatory session where everybody makes their comments, give their ideas, and tells us what they think about the economy of Nigeria thus far. Okay, so we have a presentation for you. We talks about the Federal Republic of Nigeria 365 days after the scorecard and Nigeria Speaks. The Federal Republic of Nigeria 365 days after the scorecard and Nigeria Speaks. It's just a presentation of all the information we have tried to pull together that speaks to the situation in Nigeria. Our first slide looks at Nigeria's economic potentials. I tell a lot of people that
Is Pastor frozen? Oh. Can you please check his connection? Good afternoon, everyone. Please bear with us while we check Mr. President's connection.
And then, very good. Yeah, this is the slide that I wanted. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now we can.
Now you can hear me. Oh,
yes.
Okay, my forgiven. Thank you. So the first slide speaks to the economic potentials of this great country. I say Nigeria is God's best kept secret. If you are talking Africa, and a lot of it is concentrated in Nigeria, apart from our agricultural potential, which is enormous, and Nigeria, if properly looked after, if properly harnessed and treated, can feed the whole of Africa, possibly parts of Europe, and possibly parts of North America, with the amount of potential we have in agriculture. So we can feed the whole of Africa. We can be the bastion for chocolate and cocoa products in the world. We can be the center of cassava. We can also be the center of maize, African maize. We can also be the center of yam, definitely yam. And the Jos can do a lot of work for us in potatoes. As far as rubber is concerned, we can be the center for rubber. We can also be the center for palm oil and palm kernel, okay, in Nigeria. And then somebody has said that our prawns are the best almost all over the world. So Nigeria has enormous potential in terms of agriculture. Poultry is possible. Even wheat is possible. Mambilla Plateau has a whole amount of tea, possibly coffee as well. And then, of course, you know that strawberries and apples work really well in the Jos area as well. I have a family that used to even export flowers from Jos. So that's agriculture on its own. Rubber, palm oil, palm kernel, even soybean, Benny seed, cocoa, cashew, a whole bunch of cashew, and a whole bunch of things like that. As far as minerals are concerned, we're not even looking at oil. We're looking at commercial quantities of different minerals: iron ore, gold, copper, gemstone, talc and asbestos, mica, manganese, kyanite, silver, bismuth, cassiterite, columbite, tantalite, wolframite, magnesite, molybdite, rutile, lead and zinc, marble, lamanite, gypsum, coal, limestone, clay and kaolin, bentonite, baratite, phosphate, glass sand, salt, diatomite, bitumen, which is surface bitumen. All these are available all over Nigeria in commercial quantities, waiting to be mined, waiting to be harnessed, waiting to be brought out of the ground. Of course, there's also granite. Okay, I didn't see that, a whole bunch of that. And they're all industries on their own, waiting. Okay, so this is where we are. 365 days after, the Honorable Mohammed Idris, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, spoke on the administration's reforms and policies. And the summary of what the Honorable Minister said is as ensuing. Okay, 30 billion has been invested, has come in FDIs since in Q1 2024, amounting to 136% of total inflow in 2023. And the CBN, sorry if it's a bit not clear. I don't know if we need to make it a bit clear from the back office. In my screen, it's not clear at all. So please emphasize it if you can, and we might even take it line by line. Okay. The CBN has slide 7 billion backlog in foreign exchange debts, cash transfer of 25,000 naira, 10 million people, 35,000 naira wage award to civil servants, and 50,000 naira conditional grants to 1 million non-business. 5 billion digit interest rates to banks for MSMEs through SMEDAN, 75 billion in loans to MSMEs, 75 billion in loans to manufacturing businesses. Launched the National Philanthropic Office to mobilize $200 million in private investments. 4,600 plus released to stages, 9,300 plus neutralized terrorists and bandits, 7,900 plus arrested criminals, 4,800 plus recovered weapons, and over 93,000 also recovered. 120 deactivated illegal refineries, 95 seized wooden boats, 14 arrested vessels, 30,000 annual recruitment of police officers, 2,200 established mines and mineral crops. 7, induced 5 new Air Force aircraft into service and took delivery of 5 new naval platforms. Established 50 billion Pulaco Initiative, a resettlement program for revitalizing communities affected by bandits in 7 other states. Launched dry season farming on 120,000 hectares of land with financing support from the ADF. Bilateral partnerships with Brazilian government on green imperatives worth euros 995 million. 2.15 million bags of fertilizer for the 2024 season planting. 93% subsidy on agricultural inputs for farmers. 108 million concessional credit facility from the Japanese government for agricultural inputs and production. Okay, so the Japanese gave us 108 million credit. 42,000 metric tons of grains and 60,000 metric tons of rice through millers distributed to the most vulnerable citizens. Then an increase in production of crude from 1.2 million barrels per day to 1.7 million barrels per day. 100 billion presidential CNG initiative, 100 conversion workshops, 60 refueling sites, attracted 50 million private investments. Commissioned 2 new gas processing plants aimed at increasing gas production by 25%. 50% reduction in Nigerian monthly petrol importation volumes, which amounts to 1 billion liters a month. Payment of 1.3 billion debts, US dollars, owed to gas firms, and 4,000 mining licenses issued. 4,000 mining licenses issued. The 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Superhighway flag off. Construction of 100,000 new houses ongoing in the renewed Hope Cities and Estates program. Approved 90,000 length in kilometers of new fiber optic cables. Signed the new Electricity Act into law, allowing for participation by states and private sector. Revived the Abuja Light Rail Mass Transit. Approved 37.4 billion. Approved for 6 new oncology centers in the 6 geopolitical zones under the federal government oncology initiative. $3 billion secured in healthcare financing from international partners since September 2023. Increased in enrollment quota for medical nursing and other health training schools from 28,000 in 2023 to 64,000. Retraining and certifying 20 million artisans over the next 5 years under the Skill Up Artisan Program. 617 million investment in digital and creative enterprises. Launched Outsource to Nigeria Initiative and National Talent Program to advance job creation, talent exports, and job outsourcing. 300,000 Nigerians already undergoing digital and tech skills under the 3 million technical talents program. 110 billion released for the restructured Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, NYIF. 30% youth and young women quota in all federal government appointments. Approved the implementation of the recommendation of the Stephen Onosai report. strengthened social contract between government and citizens, 17 billion naira debt clearance and payments to athletes, launched regular ministerial press briefing and town hall meetings to engage with and receive feedback from media, stakeholder groups, and the general public. So quite a lot of activity and quite a lot of things had been done in Nigeria. What are the realities on our streets? Despite the above-mentioned reforms and interventions by the federal government, the realities on the streets seems not to have a feel of these reforms and interventions. And below tells the story, money, movement of money. Investment in production. Sorry, I said what we have not seen is an increase in production, and production, which will generate jobs and create employment and create foreign exchange for us. Okay, so that's probably why we're not feeling on the streets these effects of a lot of this expenditure. Okay, in terms of expenditure directed at reflating the economy, you may not have any direct effect of reflating the economy. The 30 billion in foreign direct, exactly where it was going and which industries it's going to be activating. That might give us a flicker of hope. Cash transfers to 10 million people. It will increase the volume of money in the economy, but it depends on what the money is spent on. If it's spent on food and consumption, no problem. If it's spent on luxury goods and importation, then it won't have a lot of effect on our economy as such. Okay, MSMEs, we need to also know what aspect of the economy they are based in and what they are producing. That also should be able to bring about a reflation in the economy. But these things are also time bound. If you invest 5 billion today, you may not see the outcomes until 12 months or 24 months time. So maybe we're in a bit of a hurry and we need to wait. We need to wait for the time for these things to show their benefits to us. Okay, upskilling artisans, if they're able to be employable or self-employed, that would be a fantastic investment in them. And of course, the Ronsai report will help us clean our civil service, make it leaner, more efficient, and more practicable. So we look forward to implement of that. Upskilling Nigerians in the 3 million technical talents program. Great idea to create employment and so on and so forth. What we're looking at is what has happened. Let's go to the slide on realities. Was the state of petrol before? Naira per liter. Now it is 701 naira per liter. Inflation rate of food is 40%. Okay, exchange rate was 461 naira 76 kobo. Now it is 1,479. The jump is indeed extremely significant, and I don't really know what was responsible for that. Oil production has improved 1.58 meters per day to 1.28 meters per day. GDP growth rate, 2%. Now it is 2.98%. Diesel was 844 naira per liter. Now it is 1,415 naira per liter. Inflation rate up to 33% from 22%. Foreign exchange reserves has reduced. It was 35 billion before. Now it's 32.7 billion. Public debt was 87.3 trillion. Now it has gone up to 97.34 trillion. Interest rates used to be about 15%. Now it's about 28%, which is also not such a good sign for the economy. Before, a crate of eggs was 1,200 naira. Now a crate of eggs is 4,000 naira. Carton of Indomie, 2,400 naira. Now it is 4,800 naira. Bag of rice, 32,000 naira. Now it is 85,000 naira. Gas, 12 kg, 12.5 kg, 2,000 naira. Now it is 20,000 naira. Petrol, it's 7 naira per liter. Now it's about 700 naira per liter. Okay. Electricity tariff, 4 naira. Now it is 206 naira. Loaf of bread, 700 naira. Now it is 1,500 naira. Sardine, 300 naira. Now it is 1,200 naira. Pig milk, 2 naira. Now it is 700 naira. Spaghetti, 300 naira. Now it is 900 naira. Beans, Derica, 350. Now it is 1,100. Gari, 800. Same gari in a box of paint, 2,000. Frozen fish, 700. Frozen fish, 3,000. And so on and so forth. This is the reality of our situation in Nigeria. The headlines of the Point newspaper said, I think, in June, in May 27 to June edition, the Point newspaper, bank officials stole 8.6 billion from customers' accounts in 3 years. That's what the investigation says. Another says religion is our biggest problem. Okay. Geometric power plant in Aba was built for $800 million. That's about 10 billion naira today. The cost of FG, federal government subsidy for Hajj, is 90 billion. Okay. This subsidy for a trip to Mecca will build 9 of such power stations. That's the economic comparison. So instead of building 9 power stations, is what this is insinuating, we send a bunch of people to satisfy their religious desires. Okay, so that's a challenge. 4% Nigerians seem to be dissatisfied with the present leadership. That is what the survey by Jimmy Shai or Kwanuga says, okay? And then you have assessment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 1 year in office. Hunger, poverty, and dissatisfaction trail that situation. This is the API National Survey, API National Survey. And then it goes to show a whole bunch of other things there that are a little bit difficult to read. Top performing ministers in Wike, this name is difficult to read. David Umahi, Minister of Works, and 1 or 2 others. Least performing ministers, Adelabu. I don't know how Umahi can be in 2 places. I think there must be a mistake here. Wale Edun and somebody else. 2, I think. I'm not sure. Okay. So this is somebody thinking, okay? So this is where we are at this point in time. Let's just quickly look at a video clip that speaks to the situation.
Policy of government on strengthening the naira. I think the stability of Nigeria is not stable because the dollar is still frustrating most times. Like we that are into business, we might buy a particular goods today. When the dollar is down, the following 2 or 3 days, it will go up. For you to sell the goods, it becomes an issue.
The dollar is getting high, while the naira is getting lower. So for me, let them look into that issue first of all. You understand? The naira need to, be balanced, you understand, so that things will not be difficult for us.
Globally, it's meltdown everywhere. Currencies are doing very poorly against the dollar everywhere. It could have been worse in Nigeria if not for their experience.
With the situation of the economy, I think the removal of subsidy wasn't necessary at the first place, because the removal of the subsidy started the whole problem we are facing right now in Nigeria. We all know that subsidy is a scam. There's nothing like subsidy.
Immediate, quick, abrupt subsidy removal of subsidy in Nigeria. 300 days of workers across Lagos, across Abuja, across the nation, suffering what I might term the illness, sickness of skyrocketed transport fare across Nigeria from here to Lagos Island, 3,000.
Yes, subsidy removal, we all know the benefits of subsidy being removed, It's supposed to translate into something, because when you remove subsidy, there was something that you were not able to do because you were paying subsidy on certain products. It's stopping you from doing some other things, which is putting up your infrastructure in place that will make your economy to thrive. But the government really needs to be objective, and say, okay, while we wait for the infrastructure to come on stream, we need to survive. We're not all going to be dead before the infrastructure comes on stream.
Definitely, it's reducing, but it's taking another different dimension, because they have, when we talk of insecurity, now the insecurity is not only Boko Haram or bandits, because of the hardship of the country. So people now, in terms of crime, everybody is not safe in this country, because kidnapping, one chance, and other things, entering people's house and be stealing some people's property because of the hardship.
Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, is dancing to the tune of Northerners, because his position was clear ab initio that he is not tolerating the military juntas. He is going to use force to destroy them. But after listening and hearing from Northern leaders, the cleric leaders, seeing their position, he's singing in another tune. But we understand that as at the last count, he told the American envoy that war in Niger is not in the interest of Nigerian economic reform. They understand that in this hunger meeting that is coming up, that Biden have invited him to have personal discussion with him. I know it will not be unconnected with how to dislodge the military juntas in Niger.
Kí Nàìjíríà ò rọrùn ló dáa, torí ẹni ọlọ́mọ méjì mẹ́ta àti jẹun yó ó di wàhálà. Kọ́lọ́ mọ̀ sí wàhálà fún wa. Kàn bá mú ọ̀nà tó ń jẹ́ ó gbà rọrùn bí kí wọ́n bá san. Tí oúnjẹ bá ti wà yanturu, owó náà á mọ̀yàn lọ́wọ́. Bó bá ní 200 lọ́wọ́ tọ́mọ rẹ bá ti tó bí mẹ́ta mẹ́rin, èyí ò lówó lọ́wọ́ tọ́mọ ó sì tún lọ school. Àbí nígbà yóò bá kàwé sọ́mọ gbọ́dọ̀ tún má kàwé. Kò ṣeé ṣe. Ntẹ́mi fẹ́nu. Oúnjẹun ní kókó, oúnjẹ tó ń jẹ bá ti pọ̀ owó náà ó pọ̀. Kí wọ́n ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ń pa ẹ̀. Ká sì mọ́ ṣàìsàn. Ṣùgbọ́n bó ti lè wù kó rí, kọ́lọ́ọ̀bà mi ó jẹ́ mi orí tèmi ṣe lásìkò rẹ̀.
Before you go cook one soup or pot, money don't go. You chop today, tomorrow you don't finish. Where do you see money to buy again? Everything is too hard for Nigeria. Make government to lower everything down. Petrol first. When the petrol come down, everything is follow. That's my own. So that we can enjoy. Nigeria is, God bless Nigeria. Nigeria is our country and it will better.
I have a very different opinion on education in Nigeria. I think Lagos State and Edo State are doing very well. I think Anambra has historically done very well. But I think we need to start looking at vocational institutions. Maybe the first degree is overrated. From secondary school, you can learn a trade online and become a content creator. So why are we putting so much pressure on first degree? The world has changed. So we need to start putting more effort on vocational skill acquisition from SS2. So that by SS3 on completion, you decide, look, this is the skill I'm going to use to survive as an adult. The first degree is overrated. It's too much pressure.
To reject the present, administration as a form of protest. So we find ourselves in a situation whereby the National Assembly of Nigeria is practically protesting against the government of Nigeria by saying, let's go back to the old anthem. That's number one. Number two, is this a priority for Nigeria at this time?
Not at all.
I mean, if you ask the ordinary Nigerian, he will say he doesn't have a problem with anthem. That is why I think Lateef Fagbemi SAN is right to say that this should be subjected to wider conversation. Number three, I think Senator Adams Oshiomhole is right. The words native and tribe are pejorative.
Yes.
But of course, he didn't win at the end of the day. Number four, the National Assembly says we can retain the second stanza of the second of the current national anthem as the national prayer. But I don't think national anthem is a priority of Nigerians. Nigerians want jobs, they want food, they want opportunities.
That's it.
Finally, the bill will be sent to President Tinubu. He should not assent to it. He should just leave it. This is not what Nigerians want.
Absolutely.
What is the thing about national anthem?
Thank you very, very much. You cut off my friend there. He was talking about national anthem, which has become a real debate. I don't even know where that came from and why it became such a topical issue. I don't know. If somebody knows, maybe they can explain to me why all of a sudden it became an issue.
It was President Tinubu's agenda, sir.
It was his agenda.
Didn't you see his video of 2022?
Oh, his video of 2022. What did he say?
Oh, he stated clearly in that video when he was being asked that if he had his way, he would bring back the old national anthem, that the wordings are better. That video started trending yesterday, after all these things happened. And so everybody is now clear, that this was clearly the president that wanted this passed. No wonder there was no opposition. Even the other parties, if you see, I listened to most of them on TV today, they were all in support of it. It sort of gives me the impression that something must have happened behind the scene. There were no dissent. YPP, Labour, PDP, all of them, they just rushed through it. They seem to be the only people that want this change. Every other person on the street is like, this is not a priority for us. Absolutely not. So, and the way the president signed it, they hurriedly organized what I would call a kangaroo public hearing and brought people they thought would support them. Somebody like Mike Ozakweme, they were there on Monday. They started this thing just last week, Wednesday or Thursday. By Wednesday, yesterday, the president has signed it after they passed it on Tuesday. So what's the rush? 1 week. So
who moved the motion? Who moved the motion?
It's Professor Ehubare also. That's one legislator from Edo State. No. It's not him. It's one Yoruba. I've forgotten his name, but it's from the Southwest. It's from the Southwest.
That moved the motion.
That moved the motion, yes, in the Senate.
Are you?
So, anyway, Pastor, this proves one thing to me that this proves one thing
just like that.
Just like that. It proves something anyway. For me, whether they change it or not, it proves that anything is possible if there's a will and there's interest. If there's a will and there's interest, anything is possible. In 1 week, because the president was interested, there is a will. Everybody was persuaded. I'm not sure how they persuaded all the legislators, you know, but they all agreed and they passed it. So that's the genesis, at least from the video that came out.
So they have changed the national anthem.
Effectively, without talking to us, without knowing, you know, as if that's the problem of the country now, you know, effectively. But hey,
well, maybe it's a spiritual thing. Maybe it's the spirit of the anthem will cause a few positive changes. I mean, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, I don't know whether the wordings, I mean, where do we even sing those anthems? We only do them in schools, to be honest. They couldn't even sing it that yesterday when the president went to the Senate. So the people that hurriedly passed it, they couldn't sing. I'm not sure they can sing Arise O Compatriot, neither can they sing the old one that they hurriedly passed. So the question to ask is, how many occasions do Nigerians have to sing this anthem that will ingrain in their subconscious to make them so patriotic about the anthem that they sing? You know, back in the days, they used to sing it at all public functions. But this president came with his own anthem of "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand." So should somebody now say, because I heard them singing that in National Assembly and in other public functions, and I don't know the purpose of that. So really, there are a few things we need to interrogate deeper and find out why these politicians are doing the things they are doing, you know. Pastor, they want to show you the video.
One Nigeria, and we should be proud of our greenback. That is the passport. In fact, if I have my way, I will bring back our old first national anthem. That describes us much, much better. I don't know why we change it. It's about service. It's about diversity. It's about commitment, the value and nation building. So that is my message.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Let's hope that it serves as a good motivation for Nigerians to move forward. But I think it would have helped also if somebody had done a very good analysis of the national anthem, of the words and everything, so that we can really understand what it is saying and what it's all about. It might have helped, I think. Just my thought.
Yeah.
Then, Pastor, sorry, I just wanted to add to what Pastor Sonny said. You know, this old national anthem that we are talking about is not original. It did not originate from a Nigerian. It was written, composed, and delivered by a British citizen. So I don't know why they are going back to the old times. The present one we're using before they stopped it yesterday was crafted by some group of Nigerians, wrote some poems, and a police officer turned it into a national anthem. So this is the one we had before was original, not the one that they want us to go back to. Though that one has very good lyrics and the words are good, but we should be Nigerian-centric. Even if they want to change our national anthem, they could make it an open debate. Let our youth, let everybody compete, come up with good anthem, and then we choose the best. It will show that the government is caring and they want to carry everyone along. But this one that they just went back and said, let's bring back the old national anthem, just because somebody feels like it. And that's what we are saying about our leaders. When they are having headache, they want everyone in Nigeria to catch the headache. So, which is not good enough for the people. And if you check the filler on the streets, the average Nigerian is saying, how will the national anthem reduce the price of bread. Thank you.
Are we together? Sorry, my connection went down. So, Sonny, what were you saying? You seem to have a very strong opinion about this. And Olu was telling us that the national anthem was written by his great-grandfather's boss.
No, Pastor, let's leave national item first. Let's try and look at Tinubu's 1 year in office. And
yes.
I see architect EIA took on the platform.
Yes.
They may have some views and some opinions. Things have really moved. So the question to ask really is, how is your life today compared to 365 days ago? Are we better off as Nigerians? And even if we are not better off, do we see any hope in the future going forward about the things that the government have put in place? Just to say that, okay, they are still building, which is what government keeps telling us. So do we see any hope? Because to be honest, I think the figures speak for themselves. Everything has gone up in Nigeria since 365 days ago. But I think the more important question is, do we see hope in the future? Are things likely to get better? And in the interim, how does the average Nigerian survive? You know, because this government seems to have loaded a lot on Nigerians all at once. They didn't take it in piecemeal. And Labour is now asking for an increase. They are not willing to even meet Labour, 20% of the load they have put on us. So where are we at? If there are people on the platform, what has the government done? I see Umar Yakubu. There are a few people that I think would like to hear their views, just to know. And Pastor, maybe your own view also. You have been a serious player also. And the number of people on your neck have been increased, where are we? Is your life better today than it was 365 days ago? Because the promise that the president made to Nigerians indeed was, I was going to make your life better and easier.
Maybe it's necessary to make it a bit tougher before it becomes better. Because sometimes before you get rid of a cancer, you may have a very horrible operation that almost takes your life, but then the cancer is extracted and then you are back to healing. But to answer your question concerning me specifically, not only have the volume of people increased, but their average ask has increased significantly. Where people used to ask for 20K, 50K, 100K, they're asking for millions. 400 and something, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, all sorts of millions now. It's unbelievable. I was cracking a joke in church yesterday that I now have to write my fuel bill in check. It's not a question of you put your hand in your pocket, you bring out money, go and buy petrol. Now we do it on a weekly procurement basis. So every week my staff will come, they will tell me what their fuel bill is, and I write checks. The average check is 70K or 75K. Or then I have 3 cars that I manage in the house. One for me, one for the children, and another one that we used to run around here, and there are 4 of them. So I spend about 250K every week on petrol right now, and it's a check. So I write a check to the driver, and then the driver uses his card or whatever to buy the petrol. Now, again, that exposes me to a bit of a fraud if I'm not careful, because 5K, 10K, 20K may evaporate here and there. But I'm not going to be chasing a driver up and down to see the receipts of the petrol and things like that. So maybe, again, a racket has started around me, blah, 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 blah. But this is where I am, Sonny. So if you can rescue me or help me, I'll be very grateful.
But Pastor, that is understandable. And that's why we keep saying, I'm sorry, platform. I mean, you guys will jump in. That's why we keep saying that if you want to eradicate corruption in Nigeria, you must pay a wage that helps people. Because I tell people there are only 3 ways to get money. 3, Pastor, 3. Either you work and earn the money, you beg someone to give you, or you steal the money. So people are working, they are earning, but that money cannot take them anywhere. They are begging, like you said. I'm sure the average act has improved, the volume has increased, but maybe you also have decreased because there are more people that are coming into the net now. So what you can do for one person before, because now you have to do for 5 or 10 people, you have decreased that. So the people they are begging are squeezed. They also don't have enough. And then people see an opportunity to take either where they are working or something, and they become pressurized because they have to survive one way or the other. So we cannot solve corruption problem in this country because government is saying they can't pay, they want to pay 60,000. 60,000 to somebody that probably looks after something valuable for you. How is that going to work? So we must try. I mean, so when you made the analogy about government trying to cure cancer, Pastor, you must take it in bits. They first of all try to cushion the pain, and then they begin to give you small analgesic, keep you for 3 days or 1 week. They will give you some things to ensure that by the time they begin to perform the operation, the pain on you will be reduced. But what did this government do? They came in, one day they removed subsidy, the next time they floated the Naira just moved from 700, it was even going to 2,000, to the dollar. And then petrol moved from 200 and something to 700. All this within 1 month of his coming into government. And then not only that, light, that everybody is saying that if we have light, economy will grow. They now, moved the tariff also. And so many other things. Everything is predicated on petrol in Nigeria, Pastor. So if the government has to subsidize petrol and try to deal with the corruption involved in the petrol, I can bet you, Pastor, that will have been the only thing that you enjoy from government. Because what else does government do for you? You have your own security in your gate, you get your water, you get your light, your children go to private schools. When you are sick, you go to private hospitals, you fix the road within your estate. So what exactly am I getting from government? Maybe that subsidy that they were subsidizing was the only thing that I was benefiting from government. Now they removed it. So I get nothing from them, but I pay taxes. So this is where we are. I see a few hands up. People want to contribute to that. But let me just say this lastly. Buhari deferred removing this subsidy for 8 years. Now I know that Buhari was a good man. Because during Jonathan's time, they were saying that if we don't remove that subsidy, the economy will collapse. Buhari inherited it, although he also didn't perform as he said he would perform. But he delayed removing it because he knew the implication of removing or increasing the price of fuel in Nigeria, which Tinubu thought he was a tough man, came within 1 day and just did it. And then since that day, his government has been chasing the prices he created. Why not wait? Let Dangote refinery start, which he says he will start next month or something like that. No matter what you will have done, even if you are going to remove it, don't remove 100%. But we are here today. We are here today. I fueled my car to Benin. 100,000, Pastor, was what it cost me to fuel the car from Lagos to my village. 100K. We put 60K in Lagos. When we go to Benin, we put another 40K. And the further we go down into the hinterlands, the price is increasing because in Benin it's 800 and something, 820, 850. In Lagos is maybe 700 or 600 and something, but it keeps going up like that. Just to go. So to go and come, you will have fueled your car. And air is not an option. How you travel by air, so everything is where it is. But this is the People's Forum. Is your life better today than it was? And are you hopeful that the government is doing the right things so that your life can be better in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years, or 3 years? In which case, you are ready to bear the pain. Beg as much as you can to feed. I don't recommend stealing to anybody. If you can get a job, do anything you can do that is legal. Work, get more money, cut down on your expenses. But what we wanted to see the government do also was lead by example. Because you can't be telling the people to tighten their belt and you just continue as if, all is well in the country. So we can look at them sectorially, but this is my little 1 cent. Pastor, are you still there? Okay.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm not going to owe him. You don't be afraid.
I'm afraid of whether you have disappeared after I started
And
talking.
the chariot has not come.
I see Adeswa Osime wanted to say, I'm sure it's a contribution, not more like a question. And there was Umar Yakubu. Maybe you can put your hand up again so that we can see you. There's Damilola, Agbala, Joby, Pastor, can we take contributions straight away?
Sure. That's the whole idea. It's an
People are
open
eager
mic.
to speak. So Adeswa, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Well, to be morning or afternoon somewhere else. Well, the first question was that, is there hope?
Yes.
As a child of God, I would say yes. But if I really want to be realistic, it's tough. But the other thing is, if we want to be very honest, they say the way you make your bed is the way you lie on it. If we want to be very honest with ourselves, we are all part of this, whatever is, I don't want to use any negative word, whatever is happening in Nigeria today. We have not been responsible, including my very self. Some of us have done a little better, yes, but the good part, I would say, what this has brought us in is to be realistic, to be less wasteful. It's going to make some people healthier. There are people who have had to reduce carbohydrates, have had to reduce their food intake. They're no more gluttons. They're going to probably live longer, live a healthier life. Some people are having to trek, which is that aspect, I think, is positive. But as for the government, I think they're just playing like a ping pong ball with us. It's like they really don't have, they have interest of the masses at heart, or the citizens. It's themselves only. If they had the interest of the citizens, we would have seen them doing something from the top, cutting down on their expenses and making things more comfortable. It's like you don't think, what is the after, what's the ripple effect? If I'm going to do this, there are people who are knowledgeable who will tell you, cushion the place, cushion things, or put certain things in place before you take certain decisions. It's like you just wake up, okay, what else we give to them to distract them? And I see it as a distraction. Even this Nigerian anthem, it's a distraction.
Absolutely.
People will now start debating on that, talking about that. They will now forget the course of the next thing. Then something else comes up. Then maybe there's a disaster song or something. We get distracted with that. And another thing I've noticed, I've been asking a lot of people when I go out, I said, if I feel the pinch this way, how about those that are less privileged? Those who have 4, 5 children, 7 children or more. We go to the same markets. How are they managing? So that's one, but everybody is silent. We they manage now, we go try. God, we look unto God. So I don't know whether we've been jinxed or there's something going. I don't know. Think otherwise that it's possible that the whole nation can be jinxed, But that's one aspect. Another thing I wanted to talk about is individually what we can do. As we said, most of us are turned to beggars. I've turned to a beggar, but also I'm mindful if you go and beg for somebody once, twice, by the time you go 3, 4 times, the person will probably block you or stop taking your calls. So you have to be careful, the people you beg. But I would say, let us look inward. Let us be more creative. I'm planting things. One, I'm retired. I'm planting things. Most times I can use vegetables from my garden. I've planted yams. Now this is the planting season. I planted yams, corn, okra, Yes, it might not be enough if you have a large family, but you can manage. You can plant in buckets. You can plant in sacks. if you live in an apartment, so I don't have space, or that, and there are people with empty plots. Ask them, ask them to give them a token to use the place. Get a malam or get somebody who knows how to farm. Let them farm, and you can share the profit or share the harvest. You can sell, have something to eat for yourself. But we need to be more creative.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay. I take Umar Yakubu. Please be brief, because I see there are a lot of people that want to make comments.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And I can hear the sense of frustration from everybody's voice, and it's understandable. But I'd like to draw our minds to, for those of you that are old enough, I was very young then, when Margaret Thatcher brought in all these kind of reforms in the UK back then. The kind of resistance, we read it. I wasn't old enough to know what happened then. But if you recall your minds to when Thatcherism brought all the similar reforms they brought to the UK then, and everybody was shouting, screaming, and what have you. But in 15, 20 years, you can say the UK is better off. And that is what I think this government is doing. But the problem with what the government is doing is two things. And like you have mentioned, and the last speaker too mentioned, they have no eyes on cotton waste. You have increased your revenues by 2-3 times. The governors are 3 times richer in Naira terms at least. All they are doing is to increase their level of waste. Because if you look at, I have a data now on the automatically the budget of government houses have all increased across board. All of them. They have not increased salaries. They have not increased factories. They have not increased investments in anything. So one thing I like about this thing, I just hope it has wakened up people to understand the need to go into politics. Now, going into politics does not mean you have to run for a position. No, we all have to be involved so that we do not have jokers that think that national anthem is our problem and that we have.
Okay, we can't hear you anymore. Umar, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I've been speaking.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. You're back. You went off for a while. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know why I stopped.
Okay, just go ahead anyway.
Okay, like I was just saying, one positive thing about the present economic hardship is that I just hope now people will wake up their ideas and see the need and the importance of politics. Now, joining politics does not mean we must run for office, but we must all be involved from local government level to state government level to a federal level. If more people are involved, I think the things will get better. Okay. And I spoke about it earlier on what Margaret Thatcher did.
We had that.
Yeah, okay, all right. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Fantastic, great. Damilola Agbola Jobi, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Damilola. Thank you very much. I was just concerned. Fine, we know that inflation is all over the world.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about the fact that our politicians find everybody who cannot, yes, as much as we are interested in politics. I'm a political scientist. I'm a director of the Department of Political Science in OAU. But not everybody can be directly involved. But I noticed the fact that the few people who are in politics are just making money for their selfish end. And there are people in Nigeria who don't do anything other than have Nigeria as a business. And because of that, they just get money they don't work for. I don't think one of the most hardworking people in the world are Nigerians. Nigerians are hardworking. So many people are working and they're not making ends meet. I'm a lecturer, and I can tell you that what a lecturer earns cannot take anybody home. You can't even buy fuel in your car. And so if our politicians have so much money to waste, how come people are suffering this much? It's pathetic. And the only way I think if we can stop all this corruption, because I know that it's not about, inflation is all over the world. It's not only in Nigeria. But there's not much waste as we have in Nigeria. And so I think one of the greatest things we can do is stop all this waste. And people in politics they are draining Nigeria. They are plundering Nigeria. And as long as we go this way, it can't help us. Because a lot of people, yes, I am also doing farming. I'm also trying, but I'm a lecturer. How much of farming can I do? And I have children I have to take care of. So if we go this route, how long are we going to do this? But I think one thing we need to do is let us stop plundering. And what we have will be enough for us, at least be able to solve basic needs for for individual Nigerians. That's my own contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Damilola. Fantastic. Great. I take Ngozi and then we'll come to Dove. Ngozi. Hello? Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Ngozi, go ahead.
Yeah, so when Pastor was going through that list, I almost fell asleep.
Yes.
Because that's a very long list.
Yes.
So my question is there like a monitoring group that can, because I know that a lot of that stuff is government propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there like a group now that the list is out there that goes through that list to see what is real and what is not real? The monies that they said were disbursed, who got the money? How much of it went to corrupt officials? So, I mean, this is Nigeria. You can come out and reel out a long list of what you say you are doing, but there's really nothing on the ground. It's like, you know, someone awarding a road contract that nobody ever executed.
Yeah.
We see that happen all the time. So I think that list is just bogus.
Yeah.
Is there a monitoring group that can actually go through the list and see what is real and what is not?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because yeah, there are various groups that monitor various things in Nigeria, and there are independent people also that report on the state of the economy. I think we showed a bit of that. You know, inflation rate has gone up to the roof. Unemployment rate is quite high. The prices of commodities, where they were last year and where they are this year. So government can say all they want to say. The real taste of the pudding is in the eating. Is your life better today than it was when they came in? So that is the simple thing I keep asking government people. So it's not, you don't build a road for the sake of building a road. A road is meant to give you freer, easier, better transportation, saves your car wear and tear, gets you to your destination faster for you to be able to execute better. So I'm a coach and I coach government people sometimes. That's when they are willing to sit down. You know, why do you want to do this project? There must be a reason. So for instance, I will have asked them, why do you want to change this national anthem? What intrinsic, what value is it going to give to us? What benefit? We will come to that when I have opportunity to speak. Yes, Ngozi.
Yeah,
So
the last speaker was, you know, comparing with Margaret Thatcher and the program that she instituted and how hard it was, and 20 years later, things are different.
Yeah, because
those are countries where there's accountability. There's no
Exactly.
accountability in Nigeria, so you
I
cannot
agree
make
with
that
you.
comparison at all.
I absolutely agree
I can
with
bet you that 20 years down the line in Nigeria, you're not going to see one single thing that changed
Yeah.
from any of those things they said that they are doing right now.
I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. There must be clear metrics. So the thing I keep asking government people, sorry guys, I will get back to all of you on the platform, is tell me what will be the outcome of this policy you want to implement. What are you expecting to achieve with it? And they start vacillating. You see them dodging. So you want to implement a policy. Tell me what are the expected outcomes. Even if they don't happen like that, we would then know that, okay, we wanted to move from here to here. But you can't just put a policy out there and say, I want to float the Naira. Okay, you want to float the Naira. Where were you thinking the Naira would stop? What buffer do you have? What was in your head when you were doing that? So if the Naira got to 5,000, would that be a fair value? Can we contain that anyway? Dove, let me come to you. I will come to Ak and my brother Charles. Dove, Momodu, go ahead. Unmute Dove to speak.
I greet you, Pastor Sonny, especially, and I greet everyone as well, Pastor as well, our president.
Yeah.
I just wanted to respond to the issue Ms. Oshimen raised about trekking and food portion control. I think that should be a reason of choice, not a reason of circumstance caused by the government. And the untold hardship is certainly not the expectation of Nigerians from their government. So for me, the hope for me is that there's a lesson to be learned. And the lesson is that we make better choices in the next election. So on a lighter note, I'm amused by Pastor's reaction by way of laughter. I'm just getting amused by that. That's it for me. Thank you.
What was Pastor's reaction? That's amusing.
He's just smiling. He's just laughing. I'm getting a kick out of that myself. I don't know what is causing him to laugh, but I think for me, I think that's a good mechanism to pretty much manage the current situation, because it's pretty hard, you know, and it's hard on all of them, of course, except those that are in government that have access to the funds and make the appropriation to themselves. So I wish we all had that opportunity. Maybe we will have different opinion. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ak Iya Etuk, you ran for election and you are very involved. Let me see. I don't know how involved you still are in your state, but you certainly are observing the things happening in Nigeria. And what are your views and your comments, sir?
Two things. First, I want to appreciate, I think, a lady or a guy who says, look, all these things that are happening should make you to ask yourself, shouldn't you get involved in politics? You don't have to run for an office, but you can get involved with a party. You can involve in the selection process. You can take the risk and say, look, I'm not going to sit down and just keep talking. I did that myself, very expensive stuff. I ran for the governorship and I went up to the Supreme Court. It was serious, very harrowing, but it was one of the most satisfying things that I've done in my life. Now, that's the one part of it. The second part is that, one, I'm not in APC. Second, I did not support the current president. Anybody who saw my poster saw me with Peter Obi. Now, for the current president to say, look, you've talked about housing for God knows how long, come and get it done. Today, I sit here right inside this office as the Executive Director, Estate Services of Federal Housing Authority. What will be my record? I have been on the other side talking and talking and talking. Now I'm here. What are my priorities? To also chop because it's now my turn. Or to remember all the words I've spoken all along. How I have criticized the system. I have said people should get things done. And by the grace of God, this is my third month. And I think that you can ask anybody, 8:30, I'm in the office every day, and I'm here till about 6, 7:30. And I'm believing God that there will be a housing revolution that Nigerians will see, because for over 30 years, I've talked about it. Now, I want to ask, there are many of us on this call that are in one office or the other. How long are we going to blame the president? How better are we in our little corners? This is where I just want to say, things are not okay. There's a lot of problems. I'm not going to say because, oh, I have been given a chance in the system. No, I'm not going to. I had a program today. I think it will air on channels tomorrow evening, the hard copy. And I made it very clear. I said, God will not forgive me if I, being given this chance, will consider it as my own turn to chop instead of making a difference. I just want to appeal to us, wherever you are, it's not enough to blame the president. Make a difference in your corner, and God will see your heart and use you as a point of reference to help others. Thank you so much.
So you are in government now, Elga.
That's what they talk, bro. That's what they talk.
Pastor, we'll bring you back to come and tell us exactly what you want to do in that housing space and how you want to revolutionize.
I would love
the housing issue in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
It's a big issue.
Architect, what's your role now in housing?
I'm the Executive Director, Estate Services, which means that I'm in charge of all the estates. Gwarimpa is one of them, Festac, all the estates. And secondly, we've gone around 22 states, collected land in prime places, and the president has also approved 2 trillion for housing and infrastructure. So we are going to be able to do affordable housing in every state of the Federation within the next 1 year. In 3 months, we've gone by road to
That's fantastic.
22 states. So the commitment between us has been extremely, we've been very passionate, and I'm believing God. That's why I can put a curse on myself and say, God, never forgive me if I come to this point and I do the nonsense that I thought others were doing. And I hope that every Christian will put that curse on their head in the wherever offices they occupy. Pastor, you'll be shocked how many of the people are pastors. Even here in my directorate, I know the number of people are pastors, and they were doing double allocation, they were doing triple allocation, they were doing all sorts of rubbish. And we go back to church, and then we turn around and have the temerity to blame the president. We were there here, waiting we don't do. So I put a curse on my head. I said, God, if I don't perform in this place, let it not be well with me.
No, don't say that.
Also
Don't say
land,
that.
collect house. But if I come and perform, then let it be well with me. Well.
It will be well with
Pray
you
for
in
me.
Jesus' name. It will be well with you, my brother.
Amen. Amen.
It is well. So we will talk. Are you going to be doing any PPPs, or is all government funded?
Yes, there's PPP and there's a direct production in every state. It's massive, sir. It's massive.
Okay.
It's massive. There's a lot, and I need a lot of prayers, man. The pressure, one has to say no, but I need a lot of prayers. It's not just to run my papa. I need a lot of prayer support.
Pastor, are you there?
Thank you.
Thank you, architect. I think we'll still get
Pastor
in
is
touch.
frozen.
Pastor is frozen a bit. We'll get in touch. Let me take Charles. Charles, go ahead and make your comment. When Pastor comes back, we can still engage.
My first comment was actually going to be to the architect.
Okay.
Because everyone knows that building from the hierarchy of needs is one of the greatest areas you can transform and redirect an economy.
Yeah.
But the problem that we've always had, and I hope it's going to resolve that, is that those who build the houses, who actually execute those jobs, are not the architects and the people on top. The bricklayers, the plasterers, the guys who dig on the ground, and all of those, the guys who lay tiles at the bottom. And there has to be a system that certifies who is good for what minimum pay he will get when he gets a job in a system. Now, in the absence of this army of people that build in the real environment, who will tell an architect that what you have told me to do is not right and I will not do it, you're going to have all those houses coming down on you again. So I think what he wants to do basically, let that be the first challenge to all the 774 local government. See if we can produce 10 bricklayers every month, for example. The funds for that is already there. It will help them support the currency. Now, the question I was going to ask before I came, I hope you can respond to that, how he intends to bring in those who will do the work in the built environment. We don't have builders. I'll give you an instance. When we're laying the shopping mall opposite the Keja is there, we said, well, let's use Nigerians to lay the tiles. After about 4 or 5 months, the job was terrible. The people in from Benin Republic, they took it all up quickly. In less than 3 weeks, it was clean and neat. Basic things like that. And get Nigerians to do it. So that's for architects. My own on the other side is that now I've been saying this since 1988. The biggest problem that we have is that we still do not understand the concept of money. Because money is a payment system, whether you use cowries or manilas or now that the Chinese have introduced paper. It must help you provide impetus for production in your own country. Now, if they issue currencies, when you issue currencies, not just the government, all those are part of the system are part of those who issue that currency, this paper. If you then issue that paper, instead of using impel, creating impetus in your economy, you steal that paper that you have issued and use it to buy another person's paper because all people, whether $1 or anything, what you are doing beyond slavery. Until we begin to look at that strategically, we are hiding to nothing. Just like the lady from the university said, until you have a structure that ties work to every currency that goes into circulation, your take-home pay will never get you home. And as when our population increases, you'll be in a state where you are in entropy, high entropy. commotion everywhere. You can see what happened to the presidential information. He's coming, he's not coming. That's commotion, government. Thank you very much.
Pastor, are you up? Auntie okay.
What is this?
You were talking, you went off at the time. I thought you hadn't finished.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
Brother Charles, how are you? Good to see you.
Pastor, they come, they abandon your brother. Don't worry, when they come, I will tell them to give you a room in your house.
The room is always there. Don't worry. I haven't been in a while, but the room is always there.
Well, don't worry. Let's see how this experiment works. These guys don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, Auntie Yemisi, you've seen so many administrations, maybe more than many of us. So maybe you want to compare for us how the last 1 year has been, your assessment, and if there is hope for the future.
Oh, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. It's good to be with you guys again. And giving everybody an opportunity to speak. This is like the town hall and stakeholder engagement that should be the normal and regular process that goes that impacts our democracy. When you have a democracy, you're supposed to have the voice of the people, and the representatives are supposed to reflect and give legal or other backing to the wishes of the people. This national anthem is obviously something that just, totally against the norms of democracy. And whether we like the anthem or not, or we want the old anthem or the new one, the problem is it did not go through the process that would make it a democratic, consultative, conjoint agreement that came from the people. And I want to, having, as you said, gone through various administrations, I want to say that every administration will always be criticized before, during, and after they have left the stage. I don't know any administration. It's a hindsight that we say, oh, the military were better, which we still had the military. Oh, PDP were wonderful, than, better than the APC. Whereas when they were there, we know the kind of terrible things the military were doing. That's why they had to get rid of them. We knew the stupendous pilferage, outright, unmitigated, that the PDP. We saw what happened with Emefiele, so each administration has not given Nigeria any comfort that we have a process in place that is going to take care of the citizenry. So after 1 year, I am a hopeful person normally. I'm a glass half full person by nature. And I also believe that life is a problem-solving exercise. We've all come here to solve problems. So I'm never really upset when challenges I am facing challenges, or my country is facing challenges. We talk to your counterparts in Europe or America, they are complaining there too. My children are in Britain. They're complaining there too of what Rishi Sunak is doing to them. And, that's why they want to throw the Conservatives out. Life was never supposed to be really that comfortable. We're supposed to come here and work and solve problems and build and be co-creators. So which it requires energy, it requires some level of trust in the Almighty that, things are, there's something, somebody is in charge, no matter what kind of cataclysm that you see around you. And that
each and every one of us now has to take responsibility. Spend less time mourning and reading the books of lamentations, see ourselves as part of the solvers of the problem. Look within ourselves as to what we are doing individually. No, there are no angels on earth. They must all have gone someplace else. Anybody who's alive has faults. We are human beings, so we are frail, and we have our challenges, each and every one of us. So I think taking that time, taking this 1 year to say, look, how have I contributed in the past to the fact that the situation is the way it is? Have I contributed positively? Have I disciplined myself, my family, the people that I engage with? Have I been able to ensure that we monitor each other? Because it is by, people talk about the ransom cooties and say, why are they, I'm sure you read, all of you have just seen the Fumilayo film that has just been released. Wonderful film. I urge all of you to go see it. Produced by Bolanle Austin Peters. Now, in the family, we monitor each other. Nobody is allowed, when one of us misbehaves, the family itself will say, what's wrong with you? And nobody is going to any member of the family, no matter how rich you are, your Made or Femi or whoever it is, and begging from them, because everybody's supposed to be self-sufficient. So by the time challenges come, each one of us has developed a certain muscle, physically, psychologically, and otherwise, to withstand the stress of life. And that is how we were brought up. Our parents will say, go and solve the problem. Go and look for the answer. Go to the library and research yourself. Nothing was ever given to us as a given. We had to be independent human beings and also look at not just what benefits us as individuals, but what benefits the community. We don't feel comfortable if around us there is squalor. So we take it as a responsibility to make sure that people around us are cleaning the environment. We try to make sure that if there are people around us that do not have skills. I have a young girl in front of my building who is working with her mother. She got pregnant early. And, I have talked to her. I've talked to her mother and said, look, what are you doing? Do you want to go and, what do you want to do? She said she wants to do catering. Okay, I'll pay for that. Each time I see her, come, she will not do. So that's why I'm saying that as a people, first of all, we have to trust each other a little bit more, because trust is the only currency we really have. And that ability to begin to monitor each other, to begin to look at how we get our own personal environment straight, clean, and safe, and whatever it takes to make it a place where the Almighty will be happy to be part of that community. The spirit of goodness will feel, that it's a place where it is welcome, not the spirit of evil and contention and strife and conflict. And also, how do we organize better to engage at the community level? If anybody here wants to change Nigeria, we have to begin at that community and local government level. If you cannot organize at your local government level, to go and see your local government chairman to find out what is happening with XYZ, to see how you can now bring other institutions within the community, the private sector, whoever it is, in the stakeholders in that community, how you can come together and begin to engage at that local government level to make sure that at least that spot where you are living, you reside, you are engaged with the political and socioeconomic development of that area. And that you also, whatever money you have, while you may be jetting off to London to have your summer holiday, spend money in your community, invest in those local businesses, the mom and pop shop. I don't want to take too much time. I mean,
thank you very much,
there have been so many analyses of the trends that are now going on. I was just watching this morning, somebody from LBS saying that people are now beginning to wise up to their spending habits. They're cutting back. They are patronizing the supermarkets around them. You know, if we want to develop Nigeria, nobody's going to come down from us, and spending the time blaming the government is not going to work, because we will be blaming the next government. Let's spend the time we have now to make whatever is around us, whatever influence, whatever area we have some influence, work. And let us monitor each other. The corrupt people are not coming from the moon. If somebody is corrupt, don't ask them for money. In your church, make sure they know that their behavior is not all right in that church. And people know, I mean, elsewhere, the kind of flaunting of money is not acceptable. Somebody that you know is doing work in the public service, is a civil servant, you know his salary. Why do you think he's a wonderful person coming to church in an SUV? Let him explain where he got it. That is what we used to do when we were growing up. We challenged each other. If you came home from work with a car, people ask you, did your father die and leave you the car, or did you win the lottery? So let us monitor each other and make sure that the ethics, the values that we want to see in the government, at states, at wherever, we practice it first, and we make sure that around us, at least in our own areas of influence, that is the standard we subscribe to, and we ensure that others around us, our children, our cousins, our relations, our friends, also begin to say, look, what we have been doing in the past, work, let us do it differently. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. We really appreciate that. There's so much we can say, but we learn from the wise words of those that have seen more than we have seen. So we truly appreciate that. Thanks, everyone. Before I hand over to Jumoke, she has some pull she wants to do. Maybe people can just throw in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, assess this government. What will you give them in terms of performance? And you may want to rate everything that concerns your life: education, health, power, agriculture, security, economy, corruption, aviation, petroleum, mineral resources, roads, rail, air, on a scale of 1 to, somebody say 2/10. Just put your whatever there. So there are some metrics here that we are showing so that we can see. This just shows what you are feeling. Yeah, I can't see these things very well though. Yeah, so tiny. Jumoke, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see it better?
Yeah, take over. Just go ahead, and maybe you can speak to the ones you want us to hear. And
thank you. Good evening, everyone. So this was a poll that we conducted when Prince Adebayo was on the platform speaking on 365 days after. And so this is the results that we got on the issue of reform the economy to deliver sustained inclusive growth. 2 was the highest score that this administration was given. And to know that 1 is the lowest score you can get, is 1 out of 5. And so the administration was rated 2. On the issue of question 2, strengthening national security for peace and prosperity, the score was 3. On the issue of boost agriculture to achieve food security, the score was 1. That was the majority scored 1. And then unlock energy and natural resources for sustainable development, majority was 2. The score was 2. And the 5th question, enhance infrastructure and transportation as enablers of growth. One was the majority scored this administration 1. And 6, focus on education, health, and social investment as essential pillars of development. Majority scored 1. And then accelerate diversification through industrialization, digitalization, creative art, manufacturing and innovation, if tied as 1 and 2. And improve governance for effective service delivery. The lowest score, the highest was 1 again. And so that's what we got when we did this poll, just to show. And it's surprising that there wasn't, I think it was only one question that 30%, we got 5 as the highest. And I think it was only 2 people that scored 5. And then unlock energy and natural resources as well, we got 2 people that scored this administration 5. So this is just some of the polls, the results that we got from the poll from last week. And I'll stop sharing my screen now. And I just wanted to lend my voice to a couple of comments that both Auntie Yemisi had spoken on about getting involved. And that's one of the things that we promote. Umaru Yakubu had also said the same thing. And I think someone else had mentioned the need for us to get involved in good governance and holding ourselves accountable. One of the things that we teach here at our School of Leadership and Governance is the Citizens Responsibility course. And we are now calling it a campaign. That is Pastor Tayo Fagbenro has been taking our youth through that course. And there's always been a call for reorientation of the mind, moral reforms all across. So we can point to Aso Rock as much as we want. If we don't point at ourselves and begin to reform our own selves and the way we conduct business, this is going to be the cycle that we're going to go through. And so I'm going to call up Oluyinka. He has a couple of comments as well. He did some analysis on how the performance of this present government. And before I turn over, I also wanted to appeal to everyone. We have an initiative called FAN, Feed a Neighbor, Feed a Nation. And what we do at Feed a Neighbor, Feed a Nation is really go out there and help provide food sustenance. But while we go out, we also want to educate people at the grassroots. We want them to be aware of their civic duties and how they can be involved in governance. So this is a campaign that we've taken on. And thank you so much for all those that have supported us financially. We will be out at the Bariga Shomolu area this weekend to distribute to 200 families through the generous donation of an individual that gave us 200 units of rice, beans, gari, and palm oil. And the distribution will happen at a mosque and a couple of churches. But while we're doing this distribution, we have handouts that we are also going to be providing to them to educate them, to share information on their rights as citizens, being responsible, ethical, and accountable leaders. So we invite you to please join us on this mission. There's been a link I also posted a link in the group chat for you to get involved with Africa Leadership Group through one of many initiatives. There are quite a few of them. So please kindly get involved. There's a lot for us to do as a community, as a society. And if we can hold these town hall meetings with the elected officials, and I'm glad Architect is here. He's a member of the House. So maybe it is around the housing we can actually have a town hall meeting. We can have a series, not just with the engineering and architectural firm, but with artisans as well, with the locals. What do Nigerians really want? So that's some programming. Maybe you can help lead the effort by having this open town hall meeting and getting opinions of Nigerians as you begin to plan for your office. So we really encourage you to do that. And it's something that we hope that Africa Leadership Group can do with you. And my last point would be, someone mentioned artisans and the importance of setting standards across the board. We need to have standards. We need to have quality control and quality assurance, and how we even checklist that. So that's just my contribution. And then I would have Oluyinka please come up with your analysis before we start to close. Thank you. Faye, if we have anything, just 1 second. Pastor Lu, do we have the video for the Fan initiative that we're doing this weekend? I think I can pull it up. So while Oluyinka, please go ahead, and then I'll go ahead and pull the video. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And thank you for believing in Nigeria. One thing I saw on the list, and I thought, on list of achievements, and I thought it was ironical, is the government saying that it has strengthened social contract with its citizens. That was number 8, that he has strengthened social contract. And that's the only thing I would like to talk about, possibly less than 10 minutes, and I will hand it over. I think that we should start by asking for the definition of social contract. And then maybe all of us even need to learn what social contract is. And then we'll be able to understand whether it is necessary or whether we are walking the path where it is obvious that there's an existing social contract in the country. I'll give us an analogy. While it is good to be philanthropic in our activities, I, for example, have a problem when my old school comes to me and tells me there's something wrong in the school and they want us to donate. I went to a public school, Lagos State Model College, Meron. At the time I was in the school, there were only 5 model colleges in Lagos, and we were about just 30 in a class, and each class had only 3 arms. So a set never had more than 90 students. And I finished secondary school in 1996. Now, I don't understand why the vice principal will be asking the old students to help to build the class when it is a government school. And I keep asking them, so I just keep quiet. I ask them, have you approached government to find out how much was budgeted for education this year? How was it appropriated? Is it that Lagos State Model College, Meron, never got any appropriation from it? But what we do as Nigerians, and we ask too much of citizens. Already we ask too much of citizens. What we do is that we keep telling ourselves to be philanthropy. It's a country where you pay your pension, but when you're about to die, you don't get anything, okay? But pension has been deducted all your life. And then government will come one day and yank it all and say, oh, we borrowed from the pension fund for infrastructure. It's the place where you pay taxes and you don't get anything for the taxes you pay. It's the country where Femi Falana SAN tripped in a manhole in Abuja, and because he hurt himself, he decided to sue government for leaving that manhole open, and it was settled out of court. When your car is destroyed as a result of pothole, you have a legitimate claim against the government who refused to fix the road. So until we get to the point where we define exactly what social contract is, what I feel, and I'll start from the last election, is just 1 year after the election, the present president does not enjoy a goodwill with the people. The present government, I mean, the Afeniferis were going to see the president, and somebody asked me what they should discuss with the president. And I said there must be a way to get Nigerians buying into every policy of government. I don't see any effort made by this present government to get the buy-in of the citizens into any of its policies, so that even as the architect is trying to revolutionize the housing sector, there is a possibility that those who even have the means will not trust the government to want to invest, or would not think that it's a program that will get to fruition, because we need healing. And I suspect that changing the anthem is supposed to try to coerce that. We still have the Nnamdi Kanu going to court every day. Can't the government make a decision on that? Whereas we have, I've forgotten his name now, the guy from the Southwest, who's been released. What genuine effort is this government making to unify Nigerians? They've done it by fiat, is what I'll call it. They've changed the national anthem, and I just thought about it. Is it because it has the labor for heroes shall never be in vain? Is that the clause they are trying to change? Is this against Labour Party? Because I know that Tinubu in his campaign said, your labor will not be in vain. So maybe, and I'm just thinking, okay, because there are no other words by which you can rally around the citizenry than that anthem. Arise, compatriots. And we are talking Nigeria, we are talking the labor of our heroes past, and we yank all those away, whereas the new anthem has nothing that traces our history, that is possibly not even something that should be reckoned with in the international community when we are talking brotherhood. What about all the women and all the women brothers as well? So I think that the government should focus on unifying the country post-election. We've not been able to do that. It's the people versus the government, so much so that everybody's talking 2027 already. Can the government already come out and say, you know what, we need you to give us a chance, and this is what we are doing? I stated this before severally. We had mass mobilization for social justice, economic recovery, and self-reliance by Babangida. We even have structural adjustment program. What do we have with this government? What can people say? I buy into what this government is saying, and we should drive it. So if we want to cascade it to different sectors, we've heard from the Vox Pop, there are people who say, once we have food and we drive down the prices of food, then we should be okay. But in Nigeria, the more you look, the less you see. So the whole idea was to be able to produce and refine our own products, but Dangote is still buying crude from abroad. What's the point of subsidy if Dangote is still buying crude from abroad? It means that Dangote is converting naira to dollars to be able to import crude, and then it's going to spend forex on building refinery, and then all those will pile up on the cost. We are not genuinely doing anything to strengthen the naira. I can't see it, because to strengthen the naira will mean we are driving up export and we are becoming self-sufficient, which means that we are reducing our imports. Those are the things that elites should be talking about that will affect the market woman. The market woman doesn't understand it, and it doesn't look like they have a hope. The final thing I will say before I yield, and if there are questions I may be able to take, is that we should never.
You are muted, Oluyinka.
You are muted, Yinka.
Yes, finally, what I would like to say, and this is in direct response to Madam Yemisi Ransome-Kuti, I think that we always assume that when we could come into platforms such as this, we are better off. I think it's a wrong notion. We always think that, oh, there are elites who are better off, who should rise up for others. No, the elites are suffering, ma, with due respect. People are suffering. Personally, there's nothing I give my parents that makes sense to them anymore. And I'm thinking, what? Am I not overburdened at my age? What am I supposed to be able to do? I think that we put unnecessary pressure. We talk about our environment. My own father in my community ensured that our road was started in Abule Egba in 1990, 1991. That was way back. How has the government paid him back? His pension is possibly 35,000 naira a month after having served Lagos State for over 35 years, and you still expect his son, who he managed to send to Lagos State University, to still be thinking and practically being able to help those in the environment. No, it's not everybody. You have a movie out there, I hope it's free. I don't even think if I was in Nigeria today, I'll be able to afford to go to the cinemas. So we need to be able to apportion responsibilities where they are. We ask too much of the people. I looked at the Vox Pop. Look at the means of transportation that people are still using for 3,000 naira to get to the island. And then we attach a name to it, and then it becomes a fad. Why must people suffer? We call it Korokwe. Some nasty derogatory names, derogatory conditions. What do people enjoy that we can say, oh, this is what they enjoy at this moment? So it's important to be able to examine at different levels, what do people want? What do people want at different levels? If we are talking about aviation, what do we expect to see? I just saw after my interview that the Minister for Aviation was making excuses for why the chillers are not working at the airport. And then there's electricity failure. I'm wondering, are you serious? At this time and age, we are still at that level. How can then we'll be talking about flight tickets? Okay, we are looking at transportation, and in a few places we have the trains working, but at how much? The trains that are working in Lagos, is there a possibility that we can put food commodities on them? Can the Iyaloja or the person selling pepper go on the train? At what cost? So if we don't identify exactly what the people need to be called human beings, and in Nigeria, we have dehumanized ourselves so much that we put up the responsibilities on ourselves. In the middle belt, people still kill every day, and we are not bothered. People kill, they kidnap school children, will sit at home and be waiting for when the government will say they either negotiated their release or somehow they've rescued them. We've totally lost our values, and that is not a responsibility of the people. That is a responsibility of the government to show direction. Once you show the direction and you are able to get the buy-in of the people, then we will suffer if we know that the suffering is time-bound. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I knew you would put a little bit of fire to this conversation. I just want to read a couple of comments from the chat just to get an opportunity to have everyone's voice in here. This is from BT. We have been knocking on the door of lightning corruption for decades. For decades, we have identified the issues. We have had numerous debates. The matter ought to have been tackled by now. The question is, we all know where the bones are buried, but no one wants to pick up the shovel and dig, including myself. I think we are too academic and lack action. Yes, we are mainly law-abiding citizens, but we need a platform for action with less chit-chat. Another comment from my brother, Adebalogun, Nigeria is battered beyond repairs. And the truth be told, we are inherently dishonest set of people. While there may be honest people, their percentage is negligible. Our tier one religious and traditional leaders are all speaking from both sides of their mouth. The moral decadence is now like stage 4 cancer. It might be too late. And then Oluyinka has spoken, so I'm not going to read his comments. And then from one of my favorite aunties, I'm going to read Auntie Fumi's comment. So let me read Mrs. Koka's comment. We appreciate all your promises, but it takes a lot to deliver in Nigeria. Just ensure you play by the rules of objectivity and no favoritism, no matter the pressure. God help you. I'm not sure who that is directed at. And then Alex, I get a simple question. I just get a simple question. Why Nigerian people provide housing and cars for all the senators and House of Representatives? I believe in USA, something like that wasn't done. We are too wasteful in Nigeria. Is there any way we can eradicate all this nonsense? Then Auntie Fumi, there's so much work to do, but they don't seem to want to work. Need for increased productivity in all sectors, from security, retraining police, army, navy, customs, etc. Education, we need to upscale teachers' training in all aspects, from creche, primary, secondary, vocation institutes have to be strengthened, rule of law on a firm footing. And it goes on. And this is so important for us to continue to have this conversation. I particularly like BT's comment that it's time for action. And this is where we come in. And we keep inviting everyone to join in this effort as we go try to reorient our minds, try to strengthen our resolve to be responsible, ethical, and accountable leaders. If we ourselves are not that, it will be difficult for us to hold our rulers, and I use the word rulers, accountable. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to hand over back to Pastor Sonia or Pastor Itwa. But before I do that, I just wanted to share a video about what we're doing at Tri-Africa Empowerment Foundation under the FanFan initiative. This is the commodities that we are going to be sharing. Again, yes, it's good to teach someone how to fish, but before you can even tell people to be responsible, you have to put a little bit of something in their stomach. So this is what we're doing. Palm oil, rice, beans, and gari. Just again, it's part of loving your neighbor as yourself. and reaching out to the grassroots. So we invite you to come alongside us. If there's anything you can donate to us, we would really appreciate that. If you even want to get involved by printing the handbills, going with us on this outreach as we continue to reach our community, we would really appreciate that as well. So thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you again here next week, same time, same Zoom link, and a different conversation. God bless you. Over to you, sir. Okay, so there's one comment here. Pastor Olu, please take note of this. Please, we need the code to be removed to enable direct login to those who want to join the conversation. So that's another comment. Pastor Olu, we can look at that.
No, Zoom has advised against that.
Okay.
When I wanted to remove it.
So Zoom has advised against removing the code. So we ask you to please continue to use the code. The code is simple, NMBA 2024. So it's Nigeria must be great again, year 2024. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you please stop sharing?
Hello? Pastor, are you there? Okay, you can hear me. All right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me just say one thing before I call you. I think as we wrap up the session today, so you will wrap it up, but I want to add that looking forward, what area are we expecting government to focus on, given where we are now? What will success look like for most Nigerians? So we want government to focus on that area. What is the expected outcome? So one or two things, so that when we are compiling our communique at the end of this meeting, at least we will say this is the area that people really want government to focus on, and this is the expected outcome, if they focus on that, going forward. I thought I'll just say that. Thank you, Pastor. Over to you.
All right. If you ask me, Nigeria cannot really make a lot of progress if we don't focus on production of what we naturally have. We cannot.
Okay.
You understand? What is really missing in Nigeria is that we're not producing enough of both our agricultural and natural resources to ensure that we're generating enough income as a nation and creating enough employment as a nation. We are not just producing enough. And until we do that, and we still have an economy that is largely based on foreign exchange earnings through oil and a little bit of gas, which is not being efficiently managed, we are just continually begging the question. What we need to focus on now is how to reduce our foreign exchange demand and increase our productivity and increase the inflows of foreign exchange into Nigeria. So we want to reduce dependency on importation of different sorts. I just got off the phone a few minutes ago with a lady who runs an organization in Nigeria, and she told me that 80% of their raw materials is imported. Okay. And then I said, can we not backward integrate somehow or the other? I think maybe the raw materials are not available in Nigeria, or the technique to produce those raw materials is still a challenge. So we must find a way of producing. The first map I showed was a map of all the mineral resources in Nigeria, 20-something or 30-something of them. Not one of them is being produced on a really serious commercial basis. Maybe tantalite and tin in Jos, but it's very medieval production. they're using mining systems that they used in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. You can't produce efficiently that way. Why are we not producing bitumen? We're still importing coal tar when we have bitumen in Nigeria. We're not producing it. You know, why are we not producing iron? Why is our
So, Pastor, will you recommend that the federal government grant, because it's still under federal control, you know, so states are saying we can't mine it, although I see Nasarawa is trying to do something. How do you think we should go about it? Will you recommend the federal government hands them to the states, you know, task them, the minister monitors it? How do they do it?
Yes, they should hand it back to the states. The problem why they are finding it difficult to do that is because of oil. Oil is a federal government mineral, and until they can hand it back to the states that produce them, they are not going to be able to do the same for other minerals. That's the elephant in the room. You understand? That's the big elephant in the room. Because if you now, oil is a mineral, except if you say oil is an extraordinary commodity and take it off that list, at least for a season, maybe for the next 10 years or 20 years, you know, treat it as an essential commodity, take it off that list, hand the other resources back to the states, okay? Find a way to appease the agitation of the Delta and South people, and then tell every state that whatever you produce from your state, 10%, 20% tax or revenue or whatever it is, goes to the federal government or whatever you want to charge them. But let it be viable, because the federal government as an organization is not equipped to be able to take on all these things, okay? Otherwise, you have an oil mineral producing like an NNPC that is well funded, that is looking for partnerships all over the place to develop all these resources. Well, it might be too much for one organization to take on. So hand it back to the states. Let them develop it.
So we have the Minister of Mineral Resources saying that there are powerful people in Nigeria that are involved after his life, this and this. What advice will you give the minister, for example? Because we haven't heard much from that ministry, apart from the fact that, oh, there are powerful people, you know, involved in these things, you know, and they're after him or something like that.
Will they be more powerful than the nation? And which one of those powerful people are going to outlive Nigeria? And where is the power of the presidency? If the presidency is ready to support this gentleman, how powerful can the people be? And must he remain minister? I don't know. How powerful can they be? How? I don't understand it. They are powerful. Maybe they are influential. Maybe the president is supporting them. Maybe that's what he means by powerful. But if the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is committed to this and they think it's a way out, it can be done. See how quickly we changed our national anthem. It can be done.
Exactly.
I really think it can be done. There are all sorts of tensions and politics to take care of, but they can be taken care of one way or the other, solving them one at a time and showing people that this is really in our best national interest. Even if we don't even go to the minerals, what about agriculture that we're not really encouraging and supporting and promoting and just allowing our agricultural potential to waste? You know, every time I travel, people are telling me, bring me chocolate from London, bring me chocolate from America. It's an anathema. Nobody grows cocoa trees in London or America. How come your chocolate is being produced there? Which is another thing we're not doing, value addition. You know, the president of Malaysia the other day said, by insisting on value addition, they ramped up the economy by 400%. You know, value addition, created jobs, ramped up the economy, got a lot more for the export of their finished goods rather than exporting raw materials. These are the hard decisions we have to take in Nigeria.
So 2 things you said now, mineral resources, agriculture. These are areas they can focus. A third one?
The third one is infrastructure development.
Yeah, that's why the president is building Lagos Calabar Expressway.
Well, sometimes when you are building something,
Yeah.
you have to also do the economic benefit analysis, which is a mistake some of our even subnational governments have done. They build populist projects and which have very little or no real economic benefits to that environment. I'll give you an example. I can build a road from Benin, superhighway, to my town, Ewohimi, okay? Because it's convenient for me, and so on and so forth. But what is the economic benefits of that road to the people around that area? Perhaps that's not what they want. What they want is a good track road that will take them from the farm to the Benin Agbo road. That if I build that expressway, they can build huge farms side by side the expressway, increase the production of their palm kernel or palm oil or yams or whatever, and truck it straight to Benin. That road will have much more economic advantage than me building a superhighway to Ewohimi. And then I launch it and I make a fanfare out of it. My people in Okangbe are happy that their son, the governor, has built a big superhighway. It's a thing of pride. But the economic benefit of that road is not as good as the economic benefits of building a road that will link another road and bring out production in that area and development in that area. So these are the sorts of analysis we have to do when we're talking about infrastructure development. Another thing that's absent is storage and allowing farmers to focus on their farming. That's why we had produce boards in those days of Awolowo and all those people, such that the farmer was guaranteed sale of his produce. And the government took over the storage and the secondary sale to third parties of that produce. So the ones the farmer can sell directly, let him sell. The ones that he cannot sell, guarantee that you will take it from him and redistribute through some marketing board or the other. That allows the farmer to focus on what he can and not stress himself on how to sell. And it will increase production significantly and so on and so forth. And we must make farming again attractive to our people. When oil came, we made farming not attractive to our people, and we made them come to the urban centers chasing white-collar jobs. No, we must go back to those things that produce, okay? And then the fourth is security, which is affecting people's ability to work, to generate income, to go to their farms, to do their harvest and things like that. These are the priority areas for me that I think our government should focus on. And of course, power, which I think is also solvable. I'm happy that they have decentralized it and they've given the states the permission to generate their own power. I think we should have done that 20 years ago. You understand? If we focus on all these things and find a way to reduce our foreign exchange dependency in education, healthcare, leisure, and all manners of things like that, and our taste for foreign goods, foreign clothes, foreign shoes, foreign bags, foreign food, foreign alcohol, blah, blah, blah. We need to eat what we grow and grow what we eat and stop all these foreign taste things. We are the biggest consumer of champagne in Nigeria. I mean, I don't understand how a country that cannot provide food is indulging in hard-earned foreign exchange to import champagne. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. So these are the things that we must really dive into and focus on and see how we can get our people working and our economy producing. It's an emergency. We need to focus on it and put all our energy into how to make Nigeria produce and not just make a general statement of it. That's what I think. Then you can say that you're not there. It's easier said than done. But at least it's okay to at least say it and let's work towards it.
Yeah.
Jumoke, you wanted
I
to
have
say
a
something?
question. Yeah, you've kind of itemized all these different sectors, but I think one of the challenges we have is there isn't a plan that ties it all together systematically. And maybe that's what is missing. Maybe that's what we really need to start looking at. You talked about manufacturing, the highways, the farming, but there's no projection that in 5 years or in 3 years, this is what the benefit is going to bring to this area. So maybe it's going to take another 3 years for us to plan the highway going towards Edo State or going towards the Southwest. And I think that's part of the missing component of all this Nigerian agenda, a plan that systematically ties all these great ideas. And you've said it so many times that it's not ideas that we lack, it's the process and implementation of the ideas that is really missing. So maybe that's something that we can help, the different sectors. And I was speaking with architect Ayok Ark about, having a plan, whether it's the housing. What is the plan? It's not just we are going to build houses, but what is the need in Edo State in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years? Are we going to be impacting the agricultural belt if we build in those areas? So those are some of the things that I think is missing, that we don't spend enough time on in our discussions and implementation. So that's what I just wanted to add. Thank you.
So who will take the responsibility of doing this plan? What do you think?
I think it's a joint effort. As with everywhere else, it's both it's the society and the government. This is a partnership. You speak a lot about when we go to communities, for example, we don't just go implement what we think they need. There has to be programming. There has to be collection of what the needs are, and then plan how we are going to respond to those needs. So I think it's a collective effort, it's a joint effort. There's a role of the civil society, there's the role of the technocrats, and of course the government. There has to be a coming together of these different groups to really plan Nigeria, whether it's sector by sector, whether it's Nigeria as a whole, but I think sector by sector would make sense. But all these sectors are interconnected, because you can't talk about manufacturing without infrastructure or without energy, without sustainable development. All these things are kind of interrelated. So we have to find how we can merge or the coming together of the minds.
I suspect that along the line somewhere, one or two of these plans are there somewhere. In my mother's days, you used to have 5-year development plans, 20-year development. The plans are there. What is missing, to be honest, Jumoke, is the sincerity of purpose and determination by the key driver of the economy to make this thing happen. And I think Pastor Tayo has a few comments he wants to make. His hand is up. So maybe we should take his comments very quickly, and then we begin to round up.
Okay, thank you, Pastor, and thank you, Mr. Jumoke. Just like you said, the plans are there. We have the National Industrialization Plan, which is even done up to 2030. Every sector in Nigeria, if you go to the development database, there are plans that were thoroughly done, funded by international bilateral organizations, and also the UN. We have the National Health Development Plan. We have the National Agricultural Transformational Plan. We have the National Infrastructure Plan. We even have on minerals. What is important, like we all been saying, is that we have leadership who is not committed to the proper process of governance. It's one thing to do a plan. Governance relates to implementing plans according to the development of the plan. And I think Mr. Oluyemi also mentioned a key factor, the word social contract. I don't think it exists now. The government is not interested in citizen-driven approaches to governance. And that's where we need to fight the ball. Now, on what Pastor has said, the 4 or 5 industries that you mentioned, food and agriculture is important. But I have said it, that we need to track the development assistance funds that have gone to food security and sustenance in Nigeria, both from the United States government, the EU, and other international donors. Where are these monies going? And so if we can track them, then we can know what exactly is happening. So much has been given onto agricultural development. AFDB, African Development Bank, voted over $20 billion to support agricultural development in Africa, including Nigeria, because we have a man there, and he has often said anyone who comes to him with a good plan, they will support. So we're not seeing leadership acting right, so I would say the performance of this government actually falls short on governance. They are not governing. They are just doing what they want to do. And so the populace as citizens, we need to rise up and question the governance accountability. Ibrahim Mo does a governance index factor. If you look at it, we are the lower ebb of all the African countries. And here's the indicators there of good governance. It's easy to measure. We can use our leadership assessment tool to also look at what each state governor, what each federal minister has done, and be able to articulate their scorecard. I think there is hope. It's only going to take a while, but like Pastor, you always say, I think we all need to put our hands to deck and really fight. And there's a sacrifice to be, some of us may have to pay some sacrifices. Lives may have to be lost in order to challenge situations. And that's the truth. If we're going to see change, then we got to pay the price for change.
Okay, so let's wrap up. What I would like to ask Pastor Tayo is, what can ALG do? What effective role can ALG play to help to articulate this plan, to help to move Nigeria forward, to help to work with government, cooperate with government one way or the other, or challenge government as necessary to drive this economy forward? Is there any role we can play? Is there anything that's possible? What do you think?
I think there's a role we can play, and I think you've articulated it. We just need, just like you rightly said now, to keep our focus. The local government opportunities resource development. If we identify 7 states to focus on the next 3 years and take the local governments in each, we can't take 36 states at a time. Let's identify 7 target states spread around the 6 geopolitical areas, take the local governments there, do our proper resource analysis, and then we begin to empower the people of the community. When the people are empowered, they will stand up to challenge the government. And we will be there to give the technical and legal support to ensure that they get their rights, responded to. And I think that is a straightforward, simple solution. If we do that, we will then we can replicate from 7 states to another set in another 3 years.
All right, Sonny and Jumoke, over to you.
Pastor
Thank
Tim,
you all
we'll reduce
very
it
much.
to six
states, maybe 6 states.
One in each geopolitical.
One in each, yeah. I think that makes sense. So, Sonny, Jumoke, can we begin to work on this and look at it and see how we can at least give it a good shot?
Yeah.
We actually have an outline. We have an outline already, so it's something that maybe we'll look at and see how we can implement it.
Okay. I think on that note, we can all retire for the evening. To thank everyone who's come today, everyone who's spoken, the people who did the research, and all the contributions. I really want to thank everyone. I'm very grateful. We're really, really concerned about Nigeria. We want Nigeria to work. We're ready to play our part and do what we need to do to make Nigeria work. And we're hoping that somehow or the other, the Almighty will answer our prayers and make Nigeria great again. Thank you all very much. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the rest of your weekend. See you same time next week, by God's grace.
Okay.
Pastor Prince, please, she's going to our house.
Israeli forces fired tear gas and desert shots. They've prevented